The massive view screen in New Haven's command center showed nothing but enemy ships. Hundreds of them filled the black void of space, their hulls gleaming under the light of the system's distant sun. Governor Tom stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his weathered face showing no fear as he stared at the overwhelming force surrounding his colony world. "They're hailing us again," announced the communications officer, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. "It's the alien flagship." Tom nodded slowly. "Put them through." The screen flickered, and the imposing figure of High Admiral Red appeared. The alien's crimson scales caught the light of his bridge, and his 4 eyes narrowed as he focused on the human governor. "Your time has run out," he said, his translator making his voice sound like grinding stones. "Surrender New Haven now, or we will take it by force." 3 million colonists call this planet home," Tom replied calmly. "We've built our lives here over generations. We will not surrender." High Admiral Red's upper lip curled in what might have been amusement or disgust. "Your bravery is pointless. Your Earth fleet is months away. We have 800 ships. You have a handful of orbital platforms and some ground defenses. The numbers are simple." Tom allowed himself a small smile. "Numbers aren't everything, Admiral. You would risk the lives of your people for pride." Red's voice carried genuine curiosity now. "I offer terms. Evacuate your military, leave your infrastructure intact, and your civilians will be unharmed." The command center staff watched their governor carefully. They all knew Earth's nearest fleet was indeed too far to help. The colony's defenses were strong, but not strong enough to hold off such a massive force for long. "You know we have resources you want," Tom said. "Rare elements your coalition needs. That's why you're here. But you're not the first to try to take them from us, and we're still here." A low rumble came from the alien commander, something like a laugh. "The others came with smaller forces. We learned from their mistakes. You have 1 hour to begin evacuation procedures, or we will commence our attack." The screen went dark, returning to the view of the surrounding fleet. Tom turned to his staff, seeing the worry in their eyes despite their professional demeanor. "Status of civilian bunkers?" he asked. Commander May, his defense chief, checked her tablet. 97% of the population is secured underground. The rest are essential personnel or military. Ground batteries, charged and ready. Orbital platforms are at full power, and we got 3 layers of shields running. Tom walked to the tactical display, studying the red dots that represented enemy ships. The alien coalition had been expanding aggressively, absorbing or conquering dozens of worlds. New Haven was humanity's farthest colony, rich in elements needed for advanced technology. They all knew this day might come. "Sir," called out the sensor officer suddenly, "I'm picking up something strange at the edge of the system." Tom turned. "Define strange." "Some kind of distortion. It's growing." High Admiral Red's ship detected it too. The alien fleet shifted, several vessels breaking formation to investigate the anomaly. The distortion grew larger, taking on a distinct pattern that made the sensor officer's eyes widen. "Sir, that's a quantum wake, but it's bigger than anything I've ever seen." A new light appeared on the tactical display, moving fast. Too fast. The alien ships near the distortion scattered as something massive emerged from deep space. "Get me a visual," Tom ordered. The main screen shifted, zooming in on the new arrival. A collective gasp filled the command center. The ship was unlike anything they'd seen before. Sleek, dark, and impossibly large. As it moved closer, they could make out the markings on its hull. "TCS Thunderchild." "It's one of ours," May whispered. "But I've never seen that class before." The communications officer's console lit up. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Thunderchild." Tom straightened his uniform. On screen, the face that appeared was that of a calm, confident human captain. "Governor Tom, Captain Jack of the Thunderchild. Earth sent us to deliver a message." He smiled slightly. "The game changes now. In the distance, the alien fleet was already moving to face this unexpected arrival. They still had the numbers. They still had the advantage. But as Tom watched the magnificent human warship approach, he felt something he hadn't felt in hours: hope. The next move would be High Admiral Red's, and everyone in the command center knew that the next few minutes would change the course of human history. The Thunder Child moved with impossible grace for a ship of its size. High Admiral Red watched from his flagship as the human warship approached, its dark hull seeming to drink in the starlight. His tactical officer was already giving him readings that made no sense. "Sir, we can't get a lock on their shields," the officer reported. "Our scans keep sliding off." Red's 4 eyes narrowed. "One ship," he growled. "They send one ship against our fleet." He turned to his communications officer. "Open a channel to that human vessel." The screen lit up, showing Captain Jack sitting calmly in his command chair. The human looked relaxed, almost amused. "High Admiral," Jack said with a slight nod. "I trust you're reconsidering your position regarding New Haven." "You show either great courage or great foolishness," Red replied. "One ship cannot change the outcome here. Stand down and leave this system." Jack leaned forward slightly. "I'm afraid I can't do that. But I can offer you the same choice you gave the colony. Leave now, and no one needs to get hurt." Laughter erupted from several officers on Red's bridge. The Admiral himself didn't laugh. Something about the human's confidence bothered him. Meanwhile, aboard the Thunder Child, Lieutenant Ray worked at his weapons console, his fingers dancing over the controls. "Captain, I have full sensor readings of their fleet. Their shield harmonics are primitive. We can cut through them like paper." "Hold that thought, Ray." Jack turned his attention back to the alien admiral. "You should know that Earth has made some advances since your coalition's last encounter with our forces. The Thunder Child represents a new era in human military technology." Red's scales darkened with anger. "You play a dangerous game, human. We have 800 ships. You have one." "Numbers," Jack said softly, "can be deceiving." Without warning, 3 alien cruisers broke formation, charging toward the Thunder Child with weapons hot. Jack didn't even flinch. "Ray, show them what we can do. Non-lethal demonstration, if you please." Ray's fingers moved faster, targeting their primary power systems. The Thunder Child's hull shimmered slightly, and 3 precise beams of blue-white energy lanced out. Each beam passed through the alien ship's shields, as if they weren't there, striking exact points on their hulls. The cruisers went dark, drifting helplessly in space. Silence fell over Red's bridge. The tactical officer stared at his readings in disbelief. "Sir, they just disabled 3 heavy cruisers in less than 2 seconds. Their weapons, we didn't even detect them charging." In New Haven's command center, Governor Tom and his staff watched in awe. Commander May shook her head slowly. "That's quantum weaponry," she whispered. The rumors were true. Earth really did crack it. The Thunder Child moved again, taking up position between the colony and the alien fleet. Its hull seemed to ripple, and suddenly the ship's true defense systems became visible. Layers upon layers of shifting quantum shields, far beyond anything the aliens had ever encountered. "Now then," Jack said to Red, his voice still calm. "Let's talk about those terms again. You see, the Thunder Child isn't just a warship. It's a statement. Humanity is done being pushed around by alien coalitions who think they can take what they want." Red's bridge crew looked to their admiral nervously. They had never failed a conquest before, but they had also never faced anything like this. Their scans couldn't penetrate the Thunder Child's defenses, couldn't even properly track its movement patterns. "You would start a war," Red said finally, but there was uncertainty in his voice now. "No," Jack replied. "I'm here to prevent one. Leave this system, spread the word. Earth and its colonies are off limits. We'd rather be friends than enemies, but make no mistake, we will defend our people." As if to emphasize his point, the Thunder Child's hull rippled again, and suddenly hundreds of small objects emerged from concealed bays. Advanced combat drones, each one powered by the same quantum technology that made their mothership so formidable. Red stared at the display, watching the drones take up perfect defensive positions around the human warship. In all his years of commanding fleets, he had never faced a situation quite like this. The game truly had changed, and now he had to decide: risk everything on a fight against this unknown power, or withdraw and live to fight another day. The next few moments would determine not just the fate of New Haven, but possibly the future of human-alien relations throughout the galaxy. High Admiral Red made his choice. His pride wouldn't let him retreat from a single human ship, no matter how advanced it seemed. All ships, he commanded, attack pattern Delta. Destroy that vessel. The alien fleet moved like a swarm of angry insects, spreading out to surround the Thunderchild. Captain Jack watched them calmly, a slight smile on his face. They never learn, do they? He turned to his weapons officer. Ray, ready all systems. Let's show them what she can really do. The first wave of alien ships opened fire. Hundreds of energy beams and plasma torpedoes streaked toward the Thunderchild. The human ship didn't try to dodge. Instead, its quantum shields lit up like a small sun, absorbing every single shot. The energy simply disappeared into the shield's shifting patterns. Shield status, Jack asked casually. 100%, sir, Ray replied with a grin. Their weapons aren't even scratching us. From the colony below, Governor Tom and his staff watched in amazement. The Thunderchild glowed brightly against the darkness of space, completely untouched by the massive alien assault. Commander May's eyes were glued to her tactical display. Look at those shield readings, she whispered. I've never seen anything like it. The Thunderchild finally began to move. It accelerated suddenly, far faster than a ship its size should be able to. The alien fleet's formation scattered as the human warship danced between their lines. Each movement was precise, calculated, like a dancer performing a deadly ballet in space. Target their weapon systems only, Jack ordered. Let's try to avoid casualties. Ray's hands flew over his console. The Thunderchild's quantum weapons fired in rapid succession, each shot finding its mark with perfect accuracy. Alien ships spun out of control as their weapons went dead. Others lost engine power, drifting helplessly. The human ship's advanced AI systems predicted and countered every attempt to trap or outmaneuver it. On his flagship, Red watched in growing horror as his fleet fell into chaos. Impossible, he muttered. How are they doing this? His tactical officer's voice shook as he reported more bad news. Sir, they've adapted to our shield frequencies. Every shot they fire goes straight through our defenses. The officer paused, his eyes widening. And sir, they're only targeting weapons and engines. They could be destroying us, but they're choosing not to. The Thunderchild suddenly appeared directly in front of Red's flagship, so close he could see every detail of its strange hull through his bridge viewport. The human ship's drones formed a perfect sphere around it, their weapons glowing with barely contained energy. Admiral Red, Jack's voice came through clear and calm. Your fleet is already down by 30%. We haven't even started using our heavy weapons yet. Would you like to discuss surrender terms? As if to emphasize his point, the Thunderchild's hull opened in several places, revealing massive weapon ports that hadn't been visible before. They hummed with power, giving off a deep blue glow that made nearby alien ships retreat in fear. In New Haven's command center, Commander May suddenly laughed. They're running. Look at the enemy's rear formations. They're breaking off. She was right. Dozens of alien ships were turning away from the battle, ignoring Red's orders to hold position. The sight of their supposedly superior weapons having no effect, combined with the Thunderchild's casual display of power, had broken their will to fight. Admiral, Jack said, his voice taking on a harder edge, I'm picking up power spikes in your ship's main guns. I really wouldn't recommend it. The next demonstration won't be as gentle as the first. Red's claws dug into his command chair. In just minutes, this single human ship had done what no enemy had ever managed. It had made his fleet look helpless. More ships were retreating every second. His perfect record of victories was crumbling before his eyes. "Perhaps," Red said finally, his voice heavy with suppressed rage, "we should discuss those terms." The Thunder Child's weapons powered down slightly, but its drones maintained their defensive position. Jack's voice carried a note of satisfaction as he replied, "I thought you'd never ask." Below on New Haven, 3 million colonists began emerging from their bunkers to watch the impossible sight above. A single human warship standing victorious over the greatest alien fleet in known space. The game hadn't just changed, it had been completely rewritten. The mood on High Admiral Red's flagship had changed completely. His bridge crew worked in tense silence, watching their display screens as more ships broke formation and jumped away from the battle. The mighty alien fleet was falling apart, not from destruction, but from fear of a single human vessel. The Thunder Child hung in space before them, its quantum shields rippling with barely contained power. Captain Jack's voice came through the communication channels again, addressing not just Red's flagship, but the entire remaining fleet. "Your ships are leaving, Admiral. Perhaps it's time your crew knew the full truth of what they're facing." Jack nodded to someone off-screen. "Lieutenant Ray, begin the system hack." Red's tactical officer suddenly shouted in alarm. "Sir, they're inside our computers, all our ships. They're accessing everything." Screens across the alien fleet began to change. The Thunder Child's AI systems sliced through their security like it wasn't even there. Every ship in the fleet suddenly displayed the same information, complete technical readouts of the human warship's capabilities. "Impossible," one of Red's officers whispered. "Their weapons, they're not just more advanced. They're generations ahead of anything we have." The data showed everything. The Thunder Child's quantum shields could absorb enough energy to survive a supernova. Its weapons could pierce any known defense. Its AI systems could hack and control entire fleets. And worst of all, it wasn't even unique. The readouts clearly showed that Earth was building more. On New Haven, Governor Tom and Commander May watched their own copies of the data in amazement. "This was their plan all along," May said with growing excitement. "The Thunder Child isn't just here to save us. It's here to send a message to the entire galaxy." The alien ship's engines suddenly powered down, their weapons went offline, and their shields collapsed. The Thunder Child's AI had taken complete control. Captain Jack's face appeared on every screen in the fleet. "We could have disabled your ships like this at any time," he explained calmly. "We chose not to because we wanted to demonstrate our capabilities in a way you couldn't deny or hide from your leaders. Your coalition needs to understand something. Humanity is not weak. We're not primitive. We've been holding back." Red's scales had turned pale, almost white with shock. His mighty fleet, the pride of the coalition, had been defeated not by violence, but by sheer technological superiority. And now every ship in his command knew exactly how outmatched they were. "The choice is yours," Jack continued. "You can keep fighting wars of conquest, trying to take what you want from others. But now you know what's waiting for you if you do. Earth's colonies are off limits. In fact, I'd suggest reconsidering your entire strategy of expansion through force." The Thunder Child's drones shifted formation, creating a massive holographic display visible to every ship in the system. It showed dozens of ships just like the Thunder Child under construction in Earth's shipyards. Lieutenant Ray spoke up from his station. "Captain, 3 more coalition fleets have just changed course. They're abandoning their attacks on other systems. Word is spreading fast." In New Haven's command center, the room erupted in cheers. The colony's defense platforms powered down for the first time in days as the threat literally vanished before their eyes. Governor Tom smiled, thinking about how this day would be remembered in history. High Admiral Red stood from his command chair, his posture showing defeat. "You've won, Captain. Not just this battle. Your Thunder Child has changed everything. The coalition will need to reconsider many things." "That's the smartest thing you've said all day, Admiral," Jack replied. "Now about those surrender terms, I think you'll find them quite reasonable. Earth doesn't want enemies. We'd much rather have trading partners." As the remaining alien ships powered back up under the Thunderchild's watchful eye, the message was clear to everyone in the system. Humanity had been perceived as a minor power, one that could be bullied and pushed around. That illusion had been shattered forever. The game hadn't just changed. The entire board had been flipped over. And somewhere in the depths of space, more Thunderchild-class ships were under construction, preparing to carry the same message to anyone else who thought they could threaten humanity's future among the stars. The news spread through the alien coalition's worlds like wildfire. Reports of the Thunderchild's power reached every corner of known space, carried by the retreating ships from Red's fleet. But some coalition leaders refused to believe that one human ship could change everything. A new fleet appeared at the edge of the New Haven system. This one belonged to the coalition's most aggressive species, the stone-skinned warriors who had never lost a battle. Their commander had come to prove that the Thunderchild could be beaten. Captain Jack watched the new fleet's arrival on his main screen. "Right on schedule," he said quietly. "They just couldn't help themselves." He turned to Lieutenant Ray. "Time for Phase 2. Launch the drone swarms." The Thunderchild's hull opened like a blooming flower. Thousands of combat drones poured out, each one smaller than a fighter, but powered by the same quantum technology that made their mothership unstoppable. They formed intricate patterns in space, moving with impossible precision. High Admiral Red, still present in the system under guard, watched with growing amazement. "By the stars," he whispered, "you weren't even using your full strength against my fleet." The new alien fleet charged forward, confident in their superior numbers. Their stone-skinned commander's voice boomed across all channels. "Your tricks won't work on us, humans. We will show everyone that you can be defeated." Jack's response was simple. "Ray, initiate the counterattack." Full demonstration this time. The drone swarm moved as one, their formation shifting like a living thing. Each drone suddenly projected its own quantum shield, linking with the others. In seconds, they had created a massive energy web that stretched across space. From New Haven's surface, the sight was incredible. The web of drones lit up the night sky, turning darkness into day. Commander May's sensors were going crazy trying to read the energy levels. "They're channeling power from the Thunderchild," she reported to Governor Tom. "The drones are amplifying it somehow." The stone-skinned warriors fired everything they had. Their weapons, powerful enough to crack planets, slammed into the drone web. But instead of causing damage, each hit made the web glow brighter. The drones were absorbing the energy, adding it to their own power. "Now," Jack ordered, "show them what humanity can really do." The drone swarm split into dozens of smaller formations, each targeting a different section of the enemy fleet. They moved faster than any ship could track, their quantum shields making them virtually invulnerable. But they weren't firing weapons. They were doing something far more impressive. The drones surrounded enemy ships in smaller energy webs, then simply shut them down. Engines, weapons, life support, everything except basic air and gravity went dark. Ship after ship fell silent, their mighty weapons useless against this new form of warfare. Lieutenant Ray's console lit up with data. "Sir, we've neutralized 60% of their fleet. No casualties. The drones are performing perfectly." The stone-skinned commander's voice had lost its confidence. What is this power? How can you control so many drones with such precision?" "Quantum AI networks," Jack explained, almost kindly. "Each drone has more computing power than your entire fleet. They think and act as one, guided by the Thunderchild's main systems. This is what happens when you push humanity into developing new ways to defend itself." The remaining enemy ships tried to retreat, but the drone swarm was too fast. Within minutes, the entire fleet had been neutralized. The mighty stone-skinned warriors, who had never surrendered in their entire history, found themselves completely helpless. From his flagship, High Admiral Red watched the demonstration with a mix of fear and relief. Fear of humanity's power, but relief that he had chosen to surrender rather than face this kind of defeat. "Your Thunderchild," he said to Jack. "It's not just a warship, is it? It's a mobile command center for the most advanced drone army ever created." "Among other things," Jack replied. "Consider this a preview of what happens if the Coalition continues its aggressive expansion. Humanity would rather focus on science, exploration, and trade. But if forced to fight," he let the sentence hang as the drone swarm reassembled into a massive, glowing sphere around his ship. The message was clear. The age of conquest was over. A new era had begun, and humanity was leading the way. The Coalition was breaking apart. After watching 2 fleets fall to the Thunderchild, more alien species began to question everything. Some wanted peace with humans immediately. Others wanted to steal the quantum technology for themselves. The oldest and proudest members of the Coalition refused to accept the new reality. High Admiral Red stood on the Thunderchild's bridge as a guest now, watching the chaos unfold. Emergency signals flooded in from across the galaxy. The Coalition's Supreme Council had split into 3 factions. The largest faction was calling for immediate peace talks with Earth. The second wanted to continue fighting. The third simply wanted to run and hide. "Your ship has changed the balance of power in the galaxy," Red said to Captain Jack. "Centuries of alliance are falling apart in ours." Jack nodded. That was part of the plan. A coalition built on fear and conquest was never going to last. But we're about to face our biggest challenge. He turned to Lieutenant Ray. "Status of the incoming fleet." "Massive, sir. The Coalition's elite guard. 2,000 ships, their best technology. They're being led by Supreme Commander Stone himself." The name made Red's scales pale. "Stone. He's actually coming here himself." The alien admiral looked genuinely worried. "Captain, you don't understand. Stone has never lost a battle in 300 years. He commands the Coalition's most powerful dreadnoughts." The Thunderchild sensors showed the massive fleet emerging from faster-than-light travel. The ships were enormous, each one bristling with weapons. At their center was Stone's flagship, a vessel 5 times larger than any other ship in space. Supreme Commander Stone's image appeared on every screen in the system. He was a giant even among his own kind, his armor made from the scales of conquered enemies. "So," his deep voice rumbled, "this is the human ship that thinks it can change the order of the galaxy." Jack remained calm. "Your Coalition's time is over, Commander Stone. Too many species are tired of living under your control. We're offering a different way." "You offer weakness," Stone roared. "I studied the reports. Your ship uses tricks and technology to avoid real combat. Now face true warriors." He turned to his fleet. "All ships, attack. Show them the might of real fighting force." The Elite Guard fleet charged forward like an unstoppable wave of metal and energy. But Jack just smiled. "Ray, activate the gravity lance." The Thunderchild's hull began to change. Panels shifted and moved as the entire front section of the ship transformed. The drone swarm formed a massive energy funnel leading to a single point at the ship's bow. In New Haven's command center, every sensor suddenly went dark. "What you're about to see," Jack told Red, "is why we didn't want to build more than a few of these ships. Some weapons are too powerful to use carelessly." A beam of pure gravitational force shot out from the Thunderchild. It wasn't energy or matter. It was space itself being twisted into a weapon. The beam hit Stone's flagship dead center. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the massive ship began to fold in on itself like paper in an invisible hand. Stone's voice came through filled with shock. "Impossible. No one can control gravity itself." The beam widened. 100 Elite Guard ships were caught in its effect. Their shields meant nothing. Gravity cared nothing for energy barriers. Metal screamed as ships were crushed into balls of compressed matter no larger than fighters. "Last warning," Jack announced to the fleet. "Retreat now, or we'll be forced to continue this demonstration." The Elite Guard fleet, the most powerful fighting force in known space, did something it had never done before. It ran. Ships scattered in every direction, their perfect formation forgotten. Even Stone's compressed flagship managed to limp away into faster-than-light speed. Red watched it all with his mouth open. A weapon that controls gravity itself. You could have used this at any time. You could have. Destroy your entire fleet in seconds. Jack finished for him. Yes, but that's not our way. Earth wants peace. We only built weapons like this to make sure we never have to use them. As the Elite Guard fleet retreated in chaos, the Thunderchild powered down its gravity lance. The message had been sent. The galaxy's greatest warriors had fled from a single human ship. The old order was truly dead. The age of the Coalition's rule through force was over. The time had come for something new. 1 month after the Battle of New Haven, the galaxy was a very different place. The Thunderchild's actions had started a chain reaction that no one could have predicted. The mighty Coalition, which had ruled space through fear for centuries, had completely fallen apart. Captain Jack stood in New Haven's main conference center, watching as representatives from 50 different alien species filed into the room. Some had once been bitter enemies. Now they sat together, united by their desire to build something new from the ashes of the old Coalition. High Admiral Red, now serving as a peace ambassador, stood beside Jack. "I never thought I'd see this day," the alien said quietly. Former enemies sitting together, talking about trade instead of war. Governor Tom walked to the center of the room, ready to begin the first Galactic Peace Conference. The Thunderchild hung in orbit above, its presence a reminder of what had brought them all to this point. But it was no longer seen as a threat. It had become a symbol of positive change. "A month ago," Tom began, "many of you thought of humans as primitive beings who could be conquered or ignored. Now you know better. But we're not here to remind you of our strength. We're here to share our knowledge, to help build a better future for all species." Lieutenant Ray, who had moved from weapons officer to chief of technology exchange, activated the room's holographic display. Images of new quantum ships appeared, but these weren't warships. They were exploration vessels, science ships, and massive trading crafts. Earth is offering to share its quantum technology with all peaceful worlds, Jack announced. "Not the weapons. We'll keep those safe. But the shields, the faster-than-light drive systems, the medical advances, everything that can improve life across the galaxy." The alien representatives murmured in excitement. Many of them had suffered under the Coalition's rule, forced to hand over resources while receiving little in return. This was different. This was an offer of true partnership. Even Supreme Commander Stone had sent a representative, though he himself was too proud to attend. His message was simple. The Elite Guard would no longer enforce the Coalition's will. They would serve as peacekeepers instead, working with human ships to protect trading routes and stop pirates. "The age of conquest is over," Tom continued. "Earth and its colonies want to lead the galaxy in a new direction. Exploration, scientific discovery, free trade, and mutual defense. Any world that commits to peace is welcome to join us." In orbit, the Thunderchild's drone swarm put on a different kind of display. Instead of forming weapon patterns, they created beautiful light shows in space. Children on 100 worlds watched in wonder, dreaming not of becoming warriors, but of flying among the stars as explorers and scientists. High Admiral Red stepped forward to speak. "A month ago, I commanded a fleet meant to conquer this colony. Today, I'm proud to be one of the first to sign the New Haven Accords. Let this world be remembered not for a battle, but for the peace that followed." One by one, the representatives came forward to sign. Old enemies shook hands or tentacles or claws. Species that had fought for generations now talked about working together. The Thunderchild's demonstration of power had shown them all that there was a better way. "This is what we really wanted," Jack told Red as they watched the signing. "Not to rule through fear like the Coalition did, but to show everyone that cooperation is stronger than conquest." In the following days, ships from 100 worlds gathered around New Haven, not to fight, but to celebrate. The Thunder Child led them in a parade through space, its quantum shields glowing with all the colors of the rainbow. Its drones danced between the ships, drawing patterns of peace and unity in the darkness. The game had changed forever. Humanity had shown that it could have ruled through force, but chose to lead through wisdom instead. As the celebration continued, news spread across the galaxy. A new age had begun. The stars were no longer a battlefield. They had become a bridge between peoples, a frontier of endless possibilities. The Thunder Child's mission was complete. It had changed not just the game, but the very nature of how species would interact for generations to come. In the end, humanity's greatest victory hadn't come from its weapons, but from its vision of a better future for all.